Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am Beth, and I'm here with Holly Moran from Holly Homemaker. She is a professional organizer out of Perryville, Missouri, and one of my good friends and one of my coaching clients. So she is in my hot seat today, and we are going to ask her all kinds of questions about her life, her business, and how she got started with organizing. So
Awesome.
give us a little intro and tell us about you.
Yes, well, thanks for having me, and thanks everybody for joining in today. Again, I'm Holly from Holly Homemaker, and I live in a small town in southeast Missouri. It's called Perryville. We're actually about 30-45 minutes away from anything that's interesting. But I love being from a small town. I love the connections that comes with that. And so I'm just happy to be here today, happy to chat with Beth.
Great, great, great. So give me a little background on you. Before you found me or organizing or my group, tell me what life was like for you on any given day, any given week, and tell me how you kind of were living your life in general.
Okay. So like the long story short of my professional life is that I have a lot of college degrees that I don't use. My first degree is in photography and graphic arts. And then I was actually a legal assistant for a while. And then I went back to school and I became an occupational therapy assistant. So I have done a lot of really random things. And then I don't know, I've always been a really organized person. And I kind of had heard that, being an organizer was a thing. And so I just kind of started going down that avenue and researching it a little bit. So then I spent a large chunk of my life after occupational therapy. I was really just primarily a stay-at-home mom. That was really my goal. I wanted to give my kids all of my attention. So I worked from home for 10 years, actually, in direct sales. And so I have all of that experience as well with networking and knowing the importance of that. So my day-to-day life was really just in the home. And I think a lot of that is where I really where that passion grew of how I feel about creating a home that is so functional and so good to be in, because I was at home for a decade. And so I wanted to be able to help other people create that kind of atmosphere and that kind of experience that my family was able to enjoy. So that kind of got me into organizing my home and just making it very functional, then thinking, oh, this can be a career. And then it just kind of all went from there. So really, I'm just a homebody. I love being at home. So now I get to make money and do it.
Great. That's wonderful. Okay. So tell us about when you found me. I know that was April. We were in a pandemic. We were all at home, stuck at home. I remember I was sitting in my chair and I got a message, and my I think I had said maybe 10 o'clock, doors are closing on my program, and I get a message from you at 9:02 or something. And you said, Beth, I'm ready to go. So tell me about that day and your thinking process.
So I love this story because it's always like, down to the last hour. But me, I was like, I got all night. Like,
Yeah, I got all kinds of time.
But I'll just message her later. It's fine. Yeah. So like as far as finding you and the group and all that, I don't even remember how it happened. I think I was just kind of in some different groups, and you were just always very helpful in that if someone had a question, you'd always be there to offer help. And then you would you did the right thing. You built relationships with people and got to know people, and then said, hey, I can help you. I have a resource. It's this group. And that was a really great resource for me. And so just getting to know you through that. And then you had sent me a couple of messages, and then you told me about, this promotion that you were running. I'm like, oh, that's great. And I'm like, I have all the rest of the night. And so I just finally, I think I was just trying to get the kids to bed, and I got everybody to bed. I'm like, okay, I'm going to message her, because I feel like I was going to do it myself. All of my, prep work and teaching myself in like January, February. I was like, I'm going to do it. 2020 is my year. And then I didn't do it. And then I'd tell my friends I was going to do it, and then I didn't do it. And then it's just like, I love actually the name of your group, Jumpstart, because it really does promote the whole idea of jumping, because that's really what you have to do. So I just decided to jump. And I just really, for me, the accountability, and I'm a very like regimented program kind of person. So like, if you tell me that we're going to do this on this day and that's due on that day, like I need that structure. So it's just really what I needed. I failed to jump on my own. And so, you came in there and you gently guided me into jumping. So
Okay, great, great.
thankful for
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah. So what did you do that first month? You know, we were doing our weekly calls one-on-one.
Yeah.
You had all the homework, you had all the stuff. What other things were you doing to kind of propel yourself and
hmm
teach yourself, you know, as we were doing the course? What other little
Well,
things
it
were you
was,
doing?
it was an interesting time because we were all stuck at home. So I feel like I was just doing a lot of research and looking and reading the materials that you gave me and studying them and really deep diving into those questions and those things that I needed to figure out. So I think spent a lot of time really fine tuning those. I think one of the things that paralyzes people who want to be organizers is that we are very organized people, but almost to a fault where we want everything to be absolutely perfect before we do anything. And I think that can be a deterrent to a lot of people. And so having somebody who's, walks the walk and can guide you along the way is really very important and very valuable, because you realize that you don't have to know everything perfectly before you start. You just have to start. And it reminds me of a quote that I absolutely love, and it's that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. And I absolutely love that, because it's true. You could sit there and think all the time, like, oh, I should have done this, or I have to wait until this is ready. But you don't. You just have to go. So.
Yeah, so true. I mean, I'm a perfectionist. I know a lot of us are, because we're a
Yes.
little OCD, a little
Yes.
perfectionist. Just getting going and making decisions and doing stuff just gets you
Mm-hmm.
that much further, that closer to your goal. So yeah.
And if I would have kept going on my own, I probably would have waited another months and months, because then again, we were stuck at home. So then that was another roadblock or an excuse that I could have used and said, oh, well, I'm not going to do it now because we're stuck at home. And I just would have always found an excuse or a roadblock because it wasn't perfect.
Right, right. Totally agree with you. Yes. Good, good, good. So what has been your favorite client or the favorite job that you've done in the last several months?
Okay.
Right into the organizing
Well,
stuff.
it's kind of an interesting question, because actually my favorite client, it was an organizing job, but it wasn't an organizing job. So it's actually, it's a doctor, and he's the boyfriend of one of our biggest organizing clients. And so we organized her home, top to bottom, unpacked her, just a lot of hours. And then she tells her boyfriend, who's moving into his own house, you really need these girls. And so went, and it was a very unique, very, very unique job of packing, unpacking, shopping, designing, decorating, organizing, everything. He pretty much just gave us a key and gave us a credit card, and we set up a home. It was a dream job. And we just, actually, there's a few loose ends right now, but pretty much that was December. The first half of December was that job. So just absolutely wonderful to know that in a small amount of time, I was able to build a rapport and a presence well enough to have somebody trust me with that scope of a job.
Sure.
That really meant a lot to me. So that was my favorite, just because of the uniqueness of the job. And that was like a dream job, just really going shopping with someone else's money.
Yeah.
But organizing, yeah, gosh, they've all been dream jobs. I love it. Well, except for one that was a little iffy, but
yeah, we all have one or two of those. That's fine. So with this doctor guy, so you're doing everything from A to Z, right? You're getting in there to a blank slate. You're shopping. You're,
yes.
making decisions, big decisions with his credit card.
Yeah.
Furniture, the whole works,
Yes.
right? Everything.
Everything.
You do containers
Everything.
and bins and all that too for
everything. Yeah, we did everything from furniture, rugs, bedding, comforters, pillows, blinds, curtains, organizing bins, labels, everything.
Incredible.
Even down to staples, condiments in his refrigerator. Just everything.
Wow, that is incredible. I love that story so much. And that was like 300 hours between the two homes, right?
Yeah, between the two homes, it was over 300 hours total.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is great. That is great. Okay. Here's a good one. What do you feel like you bring to the table as an organizer? What makes you a little bit different than the lady down the street or the lady 30 miles away? What makes you unique?
What makes me unique? I think that I've just kind of become comfortable in who I am and my voice. And so I think that I'm able to convey myself in a way that can be relatable, somewhat entertaining, and just, I really understand the value of building relationships with people. And so I know I highly value, I don't know, I feel like I'm all over the place. I feel like I value branding and a presence, and not that I'm putting forth a fake presence, but I'm just investing a lot of time and intentionality into whatever I present. So I just think that, what separates me is just maybe we all have attention to detail, but maybe just like this really fine-tuned attention to detail, knowing that every single word that I say and item that I put out all funnels down into who I am and what the business is. And I think that it's just very, very, very authentically me.
Yeah, sure.
And, I have my faults as everybody does, but I don't know. I'm myself, and I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed of that. Or I don't know. I'm rambling at this point.
No, very authentic, very down to earth, personable. Yeah, that's definitely you in a nutshell, for sure. I'm sure
Thank you.
your customers see that right away on the consult. So
Thank
let's talk
you.
about consults and sales a little bit. Were you a little bit nervous way back in the day, like doing your first consult? Can you remember going on your first consult?
Oh my
and what
gosh.
it was like think
I
back.
do.
What was it like?
Okay. So my very first consult, actually, it was on June 1st. My very first day I got out in someone's home was
Love
on
it.
June
That's what we
1st.
go back to work too. Awesome.
And, it's so funny because I was so, I think I was actually lacking confidence in my ability to gauge how many hours a job is going to take, which I think is just a huge learning curve for anybody. And so I think I was so unsure of that when we finally sat down at the table, I was just like, well, here's, my hours, and, you can do whatever you want. Like, I didn't make a suggestion. I didn't,
Yeah.
I just put it out there and just hope something would stick. Right. And I don't know if she felt sorry for me or what, but she bought 12 hours, awesome. So yay, we got 12 hours. And it's funny because when I walked away, I was like, that was the worst. Like, I chickened out. I didn't ask for the sale. Like, I just did all the things you're not supposed to do. That's and so what I find really interesting about those first 2-3 consults is that every one of them I sold a 12-hour package. The first one was kind of by accident, but then after I realized I could sell a 12-hour package, the next 2 people I went to, I was like, oh, here's my 12. It gets you right here. Say about 12. And then you even told me, you were like, yeah, so you're really good at selling the 12-hour package. Try another one. Yeah. And so now the package that I almost always sell is 48 hours. I don't know why. It's just the sweet spot. That's what people get. So I think there's so much power in telling yourself and training yourself that, to a certain extent, I think that you will sell whatever package you want to sell. As long as it's appropriate for the job. But if you're confident in knowing that you can do the job and that they have enough work, like you really go in there and you lead that conversation and I can sell 48-hour packages every day. It just, time and time again. I don't know. It's just now it's my spot, which is a better place to be than a 12-hour package.
Right. Well, you've practiced, that you had that first one that was a little bumpy. You still got the sale, but then you're building up. Every time you do a consult, you're getting better, more confident, just like the rest of us. I remember my first consult, I'm knocking on the door. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? Same thing. You get nervous. Yeah. But the more you do it, the better you get. And you get comfortable with people and comfortable with your abilities to be able to provide the service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And comfortable in asking for money too. I know that's a subject for a lot of people that's uncomfortable, and something that we just have to remember is that you can't think with your own wallet or think with, the way that you would spend money or what you find valuable, because $1,000 might be a ton to someone and it might be a drop in the bucket to someone else. And you just have to be confident in what you're offering and the value that you give. And just go for it. The worst that can happen is they say no.
Exactly. Or they could say, oh, I'd love the 48, but let's start with the 24. And then it's like, great, let's do that.
And we go from there.
Mm-hmm. We can always add on later. Awesome. So how did you do on your first month coming right out the gate? Was that like May or June? It was June, right?
My first month actually making sales was in June. I don't remember the specific numbers. I do know that I had a goal for myself. I'm like, I want to make $1,000. Like, I wanted to pocket $1,000. And at first, I didn't pay myself in June. I paid myself in July, but like I blew that goal out of the water. I paid myself way more than that. So I was like, okay, I need to up my goals. Yes. So I I always started with, what was the amount of money that I wanted to be able to pay myself to make this worth it? And that was always kind of like my goal that I would start with for that month. And it's been honestly very consistent in the last, 7 months or whatever it's been, gone up a little bit really. And honestly, well, and this is just my style of how I pay myself, I leave a little bit in there so that I pay myself monthly, but I leave a little bit in there so that the next month I can kind of like, I want my pay to be more equalized. So I don't have months where it's like super high. And then if I don't sell as much the next month, it's super low. So.
Right. Good. What's your highest month, do you think, in hours sold? What's your best month that you had in just complete packages sold? I know it's pretty high.
Yeah, so probably my largest month of gross sales was just this past month in December. And that was solely because of that setup job. We were working some insane hours, like 16-hour days multiple times, because we had to get it done by his daughter coming home for Christmas. So actually my gross sales in the month of December was about 6,200. I didn't pay myself that much, but that was what the business made, which is just, that's fantastic. I mean, where else in the world can you have a job where you have so little overhead and you're just able to have a few expenses and pay yourself? So it's been great. And I always try to keep track of, hours that I still have that haven't been worked, and as far as how much I pay myself and all of that stuff. So it's a balance. Yeah.
So you probably sold 150 hours at least one of those months, right? 150.
Oh yeah.
60 hours. Yeah, because you're doing these multi-big packages. Yeah.
At least, yeah, and especially too, and like you said earlier, I'm always adding, like, oh well, you can always add on, or if we're, so I have people who buy a 48 and then they buy another 48 and then they buy another 48 and they just keep going.
Exactly. Yeah, you can always add on at any time, which is fantastic for us.
Yeah.
Great. Let's see. So you've been with me since April. So we're talking like 9-10 months here. What would you say are 3 words that describe you as a person, and then 3 words that describe you as a organizer or business owner?
Okay. So when you say describe me as a person, I feel like the easy, like, knee-jerk reaction is organized, but I think that's a cop-out, so I'm not going to count that one because that's easy. One thing that really describes me is punctual. I'm 5 minutes early to everything, and if I'm ever late, you better check on me because something's wrong. I am on time, and if I'm not on time, I'm stressed out because I'm not 5 minutes early. So
yeah,
very punctual, very, very, very punctual.
Okay,
the other word I would say is dedicated. I see it through. I just like to, I don't know how to describe it. I'm just dedicated. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. My word is very valuable.
Yeah, good.
And then the third word to describe me, I would say, is actually minimal. And I know that's kind of a weird word, but I do identify as a minimalist. Over this journey of becoming an organizer and being an organized person, I've just really become attuned to having what I need, using what I have. And so I don't have extra stuff, whether that's material goods or items in my schedule or, things on the calendar. It's minimal. I don't overstress myself with stuff or calendar items. So that's really, really important to me. And I can always tell when I veer off of that, and then I have to bring it back in. And then 3 words that describe me as an organizer. I didn't think about these. Let's see. I would say that if you were to ask my clients what would describe me as an organizer, they would say just an absolute blast. I mean, we just really have fun. We have fun with it. We teach people different ways to make their homes and their lives better, but we're always laughing and we're always having a good time. So fun is a great way to describe it. I think that they would say that I go the extra mile. So do little bitty crazy things, like the other day we made a little eucalyptus bundle and hung it in our client's shower because we had extra eucalyptus from another project. Or we, before we left a project for Christmas, we left a little whiteboard with a little message on it. So just kind of going the extra mile and doing those little touches that really make a person feel special. And then I think the other way that people would describe my business is just um, a good presence or a good branding, if you will. That's really important to me. So when you see my logo, you just know it's clean and it's me, and it's just all very, everything down to my folders and my paper. It's all very professional.
Right. Good word.
Professional might be the word.
Right.
There you go.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. What are some of the goals that you made since April, since you started? What are some of the mini goals you made and the ones that you made the goals and then you achieved them? So what are some of
Okay.
those, small or big goals? Either or.
Well, right off the bat, I mean, like I said, I made the financial goal, so I realized that wasn't big enough and I needed to go bigger. And then I think when I started, I had maybe a goal, like a long-term goal, like, oh, wouldn't it be great to have a team and have people? And then that just happened. Like within the first 2 weeks of the business, I expanded and hired an assistant. So that was a long-term goal that really just happened quickly. And I'm glad with that, again, that it happened quick and that I jumped into it. I was scared, but it's been one of the best decisions that I've made. So that was for last year. And then just for this year coming up, I want to like advance and do more of what I'm doing, but just push it a little bit further, get a little bit more comfortable, keep meeting people and networking with people. I, of course, want to increase some financial goals, and just figure out, actually something I'd like to learn more about is other ways of income, other ways that I can, whether it's a bigger team or whatever it may be, so that, I don't have to be out in homes 3-4 days, all day long, just kind of maximizing my time and maximizing my income with that.
Yep. Good. Tell me about your assistant and how that happened and how great is she? Because you've said some wonderful things about her.
She's fantastic. She really, really is. So her name is Sarah, and we met each other about 10 years ago. We worked together in therapy many, many years ago. And what's funny is we were always friendly back then, but we never were like, besties or whatever. And I accidentally posted something on her Facebook post. I thought she was expecting a child, but it was actually her friend's post, and she messaged me. She's like, "Oh, it's not me expecting a child. That's my friend." And she's like, "By the way, how are you? How you been?" Yeah. And so we just started chatting, and then she's like, "Well, are you hiring?" And I was like, "Ooh. I just took my first appointment like 2 weeks ago." No, but she's like, "Well, just come over. Let's talk about it." And so I went to her house and and saw what she was capable of, and I was just like, wow. And so I was like, let me think about this. And then there was really no thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, this is good. So I brought her along and have been able to trust her from day one with her skills and her professionalism. And it's just been honestly the smartest thing that I've done for my business as a whole. I mean, just being able to help clients that much quicker or with more hands or with another set of eyes, and also I can only work so many hours, and it's nice to have that person. And then, for example, in October, my daughter's classroom shut down. So then I had my assistant, she was able to swoop in and go to that appointment the next day by herself because I just trusted her and it just worked out. And so I was still able to keep the business rolling and it wasn't just a one-man show. So
yes, incredible. I highly recommend getting subs on your roster and really building that little team because it just creates so much more opportunity for you and your business. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So any goals for 2021? What do you got? What do you want to do this year?
Yeah, like I said, I want to expand a little bit more. There's been a couple of times when I've said, oh, I want to bring on another team member. But then right when I said it, consults slowed down because holidays came and I just kind of pulled back a little bit. So I would like to add 1 or 2 more people, maybe, just to get more hands or more teams that I can send out. So I think growing, but I want to be very mindful to grow carefully and not grow too quickly where I lose the integrity of what I've built. So that's really important to me. I would like to see, and I've had that, but consistent income that's growing, so that I can keep meeting some of those personal goals that I have.
Right. And do you have a word for 2021?
My word is advanced, which I think just, kind of goes along with those goals. It's funny you sent me that list, and
Yes,
I clicked
there's
on the
something
link, and
about
I didn't even make
that.
it through the A's. I'm like, oh, that's
Send her this
it.
long list of words. Okay, where's she gonna
They
land?
shouldn't
A.
they shouldn't put those in alphabetical order because nobody's gonna get past them. But I kept scrolling and it stayed in my head, so I
That's the
figured that
word.
was it. Yeah,
Good, good.
it
That's a
fits.
great word. Great, great, great. Okay, so one of my last questions is, you've had all the success, you're off the ground, you're doing amazing work. What does your family think? What does your husband think? What do your kids think? Because they're little. And
Mm,
what does your daughter think? She's
yeah.
so adorable.
Oh my gosh,
Think of
my
mom
daughter.
doing
She
her
thinks
own thing.
she thinks I'm like some kind of superhero. She's adorable. So she's
So cute.
7. My son's 8. She has requested her own branded clothing. She wears her own Holly Homemaker shirt to school. She has
That's sweet.
a sweatshirt she wore the other day. She wants me to take her picture and post it and show. And she says that she wants to do Holly Homemaker when she grows up. And she's
Oh,
just,
that's
she's
amazing.
cute. My son, he's a
Adorable.
boy. He doesn't know. He's just like, oh, mom goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
My
Your
husband, he's precious. He's my biggest cheerleader. He's always, I don't share my business stuff very much, if ever, on my personal Facebook page, but he shares it all the time. And he sings my praises and he tells people about me. And he tells me all the time how proud he is and how happy he is to see that I'm successful and fulfilling my passion and helping people. And that I'm really just fulfilled in what I'm doing every day. So they are very, very supportive. They were very patient with me in December when I pulled 16-hour days. But you know what though? I only worked 2 weeks in December. So I worked crazy hours, but I worked 2 weeks, cut myself a nice paycheck, and we just had a great holiday. So.
What's it like to be able to schedule your own hours and kind of have that
Oh,
flexibility too? Tell me a little bit about that.
well, having been in a work from home business for over a decade, I knew that I would never be able to work for someone. I think you just get so used to having that control over your schedule. So that was one of my things in figuring out what was the next chapter of my life, was like, I have to be able to control my schedule. And I don't want to work for someone else. So, and I didn't want to have any overhead. And so then here we are. But the schedule is just amazing. I put it in my phone and I work as much as I want to. There's just really nothing better. But with that, you do have to work. You do have to put in the time. It's not magic. I mean, you're not just gonna like wake up one day and there's money in your bank account. You gotta put in the work. But yeah, having that control of your schedule is priceless. And with me, like you say, my kids are little. They're 7 and 8. So I'm still there every day to pick them up from school.
Right.
Which is a little bit challenging sometimes. I want to keep working at the session, but we have to leave. So it's just where we're at right now.
Okay, good. All right. Well, thank you so much for this interview. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and get into some of these details and stories and clients that you've had. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.